Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Shekinah, aka the Purpose Therapist, and this is another episode of Journey to Joy. And if you've been with me for a minute, you know that this process is all about just encouraging you on your personal journey. So I've been really intentional about trying to share my own, but I wanted to create a platform so that other people can share theirs. I know that oftentimes we feel like we're kind of isolated or siloed, or we're the only person going through what we're going through, but that's just not true. So today I have the amazing Teasha Cable, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself so you can let you know what she does and who she is and all the things, and we'll get started. Hey, Teasha.
Hello. So my name is Teasha Cable. Okay, so what's interesting is I would normally
Mm-hmm.
say, and I'm the CEO of CModel Data, but instead I'm just gonna say, I'm Teasha. I'm just
Yeah.
a regular old human being, and I'm sitting here on Purpose Joy, born and raised in New Orleans, then moved to California. So I've lived all over the place, and then moved to Birmingham about a year ago now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes, right when we met.
Yes,
Yes,
which is so
ma'am.
beautiful. I'm so happy I'm part of your process. Yay.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
I love first of all, thank you so much for like letting Teasha come to the
Yeah,
table. You see what I'm saying?
absolutely. Yeah.
So because Teasha got some tea. Teasha is like this wealth of like knowledge, and she consistently drops gems, even when she doesn't try to. She just does. And so I'm just really, really excited for you to be a part of this conversation today.
Thank you.
So my first thing that I want to know is, what are some obstacles when you think about joy and what that is? What are some obstacles you think that you've had to overcome to get to joy?
Well, I think I start at dealing with my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So there were things in my childhood that I would say I had to overcome in adulthood in order to get to a place where I even understood what joy is.
Mm.
And I will also tell you that I'm currently in the process right now of understanding this next level of my joy.
Yeah.
And praise God that
Mhm.
that's where
Mhm.
I'm at.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I think even in my sort of adult experience, I've just had some moments where like perseverance is always the thing. I'm
Yeah.
always persevering and persevering and persevering. And so now I'm getting to the point where I'm recognizing that that's not necessarily what the Lord meant when he said joy,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
That this concept of abundance and like really not constantly being in pain and then persevering, that's not really, that's not the bag.
Oh my
You know, that
gosh.
it's about something else, that you can actually like focus your life towards joy.
Yeah.
I think I'm in that stage right now. I'm not raising it. My kids are adults. I don't really have any, other than my husband, I don't have anybody to like be responsible for
Yeah.
except for being responsible for myself.
Yeah.
And so I can take the time to do that. So I will say I'm in the moment right now of
I love that.
identifying it. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love so much when you talked about the idea of like it's not bypassing pain or acting like the pain doesn't exist. I think all too often we get into this place of like, let me just keep showing up and it's gonna magically disappear or go away. And that's just not how it works.
Hmm.
I also think when you talked about casting your cares, you can't cast cares when you don't acknowledge them in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's so
true,
good.
true, true. And if we don't deal with like, so there are things that bind us up.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those things are self-inflicted and some of those aren't, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can start to take your pain and it can be self-inflicted over time, right?
Mm.
You take it, you keep it, you wind it up, you hold on to it, and then it starts manifesting itself into other pain and other pain and other pain. By then now it's your fault.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
hold it, you hold it, you hold it. You bring it everywhere you go. It's like your bags, and you just bringing your bags everywhere you go. You might drop off a little bit over here, claim you're delivered. Oh, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, and then you're not.
Because I
Turn
keep
around,
carrying
do the
it.
same,
Right,
right? Because I turn
right.
around and pick it back up, you know, and bring it along with me
Mm-hmm.
to the next place. And I think I'm at a point though where when I'm dropping stuff off, I'm dropping it off for good.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, this ain't coming.
yeah,
You are not coming into eternal. That's the other part, is having a focus. You're not coming into eternal life with me.
yeah.
So you got to go. So I got to deal with whatever this is that's causing this, and then keep it moving.
I love this so much.
Yeah.
I love this so much. I'm gonna stick to the questions because I want to
Go
ask
for it. Yeah,
60 other
yeah.
questions.
Keep going. Keep
But
going.
the thing is that I want to add this to what you're saying.
Yeah.
There is so much power in even the idea that there's a world that exists without this. There's a world that I can have without this. There's a version of me that exists without this. And I think sometimes my pastor was even talking about this here recently. Sometimes there's this version of us that thinks that just because I've always dealt with this, then I have to keep dealing with this, or just because this was always a thing, it has to keep being a thing, or just because I don't, this was a situation I've been dealing with the last 3 years, and the next 4 or 5 have to include it too, but it doesn't.
We get
It's
accustomed.
powerful.
Yeah, we get accustomed to pain.
Yeah.
So you get accustomed to living a certain way. You get accustomed to what it feels like to be in pain. And sometimes it's attention seeking. It's all kinds of things that go into why we rehearse and are okay with the trouble. Right? But at some point, you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
To walk away from the trouble and say, you know what, that's not mine. And if you have something to tie to, so for me, it's not mine because God said it's not mine. Right?
I could run.
If he said it, then I mean, you know, it's true.
Studio, I could take 6 laps.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it, but I could. That's amazing. Yeah. Even the idea of like attaching yourself to something bigger than you and identifying that, I think that's so powerful. But I think a lot of people don't have that intentionality around a practice that is attached to joy. Like this sole reason why I'm doing this, because I know that if I do this, it'll help me get to that other place of like feeling lighter and feeling more refreshed. And even the cast and the cares concept, like it's the function of it is your freedom. That's the point. Like if I do this, I get free. And some people haven't attached themselves to something as powerful as that, you know? So I think that's really powerful that you kind of like made that acknowledgement that exists for you. So I wonder for you, you talked about these different like spaces you've been able to do, and you kind of like alluded to some lessons that you've been learning already. But what has this journey to joy, you're presently experiencing, and you're going the right, what has it taught you?
Well, number one is there's a sacred pace. So there's I used to move fast. Everything used to be, you know, how quickly you can do something. And I still have pace. Like it's still about knocking something out. But I think the difference is I don't feel pressure to do everything fast. I don't feel pressure to think fast, to make decisions fast, to move at somebody else's pace, right? So a lot of it, when you really look back, so why was I moving so fast?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I'm trying to meet somebody else's expectation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to make sure someone doesn't think XYZ about me. They don't think that I'm not capable of doing it. So I want to go lightning speed because I believe that if I do that, then I will overwhelm any expectation that someone had. But once I started to realize that God's pace is not always a quick one.
Yeah.
And that sometimes it's a matter of, oh, I got to sit back here and I have to wait for something.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can go by my own will. I can go by my own desire. I've proven that already to some disastrous results in some cases, right? But if I take a beat, then I can depend on not just me, and then end up a lot of times with 10x on the results. So I don't know. Pace is probably the main lesson.
Yeah.
Now I don't like anything around me going too slow. Come on, everybody. Yeah. I'm not about to be the catch a rebound. You know, I don't know if you play basketball, but
just a little.
Okay,
I can see
catch the rebound. I'm not waiting and turning around for the point guard. To pass the ball backwards because I can dribble myself. Right. So I'm gone. Down here, but at the end of the day, I do know that sometimes the game is not speed, and so that's really one of my main lessons, and to be comfortable, because think about it, when things slow down, you got to think a little bit. You have to sit sometimes in what may not feel good, but you're supposed to be going through it, not rushing through it, because there's something for you on the flip side of whatever that is that you're experiencing, right?
That's so good. Yeah. Okay, so there's 3 things that you said, but I'm gonna only touch on this one thing. Okay. We gonna like I don't know. I think I need it's almost like a part 2 needs to happen or something like that because this is ridiculous. Okay. But anyway, gyms on top of gyms, like I said. But anyway, one of the things that I think we misconstrue being uncomfortable with it not being God. when the uncomfortability might actually be him. You know what I mean? Even when you consider like what needs to be stretched or what needs to be pushed to another level or something like that, oftentimes that's not a pleasant experience. It's not anything exciting. Sometimes it's like it's discomfort and it's not exciting. Like it's a combination of the two. And so then we think automatically, oh well, this must not be God. This must not be the flow that he wants me in because I'm not. Not only am I not moving fast, but I'm also like really uncomfortable. Like, why would this be him? Maybe I should just redirect. But that understanding that no, this could be him too. Most times it might be because it's stretching is so that you can have the capacity for whatever I'm taking to next. Amazing.
Yeah. And I'll give you an example. So, when I first started my business, like I thrived on momentum. Like I couldn't function when the company didn't have momentum. So we had momentum, all things were working. I was pumped up, I was excited, I was ready to go. And then we get into in startup life, like there may not be momentum in a moment. There may not be wind at your back. And so it was in those moments I would be like, oh, this isn't gonna work. I was just miserable. And then but that was when I started to recognize that I had a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a speed problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was
I can't sit still.
I can't let a moment happen. Like I need something to constantly be pushing me. What is that? Why do I need momentum in order to figure something out?
Yeah.
There was something about that just was not, just wasn't right.
Yeah.
And so I needed to go through what were difficult periods without momentum in order to figure out that I need to constantly be in moments of a certain type of pace. Yeah, so really I keep going back to this pace thing because it's been probably one of the biggest things for me over the past few months. And funny enough, I think past year, I would say, coming to Birmingham, where the pace is so much slower. I go home on the weekends and I'm chilling. Like I'm even noticing things like, if you look at my phone, I got pictures upon pictures upon pictures of the sunsets and the sunrises because I can't help myself. I'm finally like seeing them. Imagine just slowing down enough to start seeing God's beauty like that.
Wow.
Imagine what else that does to your life when you go, oh my goodness, I had not in my lifetime slowed down enough to take advantage of the beauty of a sunrise or a sunset and like marvel in it, like, oh my God, look how beautiful this is, and just sit there and stare. I will get in my car and chase him around. My husband will be like, what is wrong with you, girl? I'm like, you don't see this?
Yeah.
You don't see how beautiful this is? Like, imagine not taking in that kind of beauty on a regular basis and it's available to you.
Yeah.
What else in your life is that happening to?
That's so, and it's, I think even when we think about like that, give us this day our daily bread, like that part and things like that day, when you said that, I'm thinking like, what if daily bread isn't necessarily like always resources? What if it's like just motivation? What if it's peace? What if it's joy? What if it's, I need you to slow down enough so you can catch the thing that I gave you today to let you know that I'm here.
Come on. I'm about to reveal to you more about your purpose today.
Yeah.
I just showed you that the purpose of the sun in the sky is to rise every day and be beautiful for you because, Lord, I love it. It's beautiful. What are you doing for me today?
Yeah.
But I need you to slow down just a moment so that you can recognize that I love beautiful things that work according to my plan.
Yeah.
So what are you doing, beautiful thing, to work according to my plan today? But you got to slow down.
Yeah. Now, Teasha, we could really close it right here. We could everybody. It's so, and I think the more powerful piece about it is, and even as you're speaking about this is resonating so much, mainly because I don't know if you remember, I was in your office last year, and I was like, girl, I don't know what we're doing, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what I'm finna do next. It was really intense, but I think even that part about pace and momentum, the validation from other people all day every day related to it that's not a sign that you're on the path that God has. It's him, you know what I mean? And it's like the peace that passes all other understanding. Like everybody else might not understand why you're pausing, everybody else might not understand why you need a break or why you need to step away or why you're not doing nothing, why you're not posting nothing, why you just being here, right? Everybody else might not understand, but that's his peace. It passes everybody else's understanding.
That's right.
Girl,
Yeah.
that's so good.
But if you moving fast behind what everyone else is, and you might
Yes.
not even recognize.
Yes.
Right.
Or even recognize, or even then consistently think, because that was kind of my struggle, consistently think that what you're doing and who you are and as you are isn't enough,
Yeah.
because it's a consistent comparison with what somebody else is doing. But as soon as you kind of step aside, be like, they didn't give me this vision in the first place, God gave it.
Come on now.
You see what I'm saying?
Come on, they ain't
Now
got nothing to do with
this some
this.
tea I got from your office.
Come
You see what I'm
on.
saying?
Come
That's
on.
something you, that's something you was giving me. You know what
I
I mean?
love it.
And so I think that,
Yeah.
as you kind of like, I love that that recognition of like something as beautiful as a sunset and a sunrise. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm even thinking in my head, like, when's the last time I saw one? I think I might have a picture of the one that's by your spot.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember.
but I think that there's something to that. How many of those gems exist? How many of those little moments, those little whispers that he's around exist that we don't see because we're moving too fast? That's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Girl, now
Yeah.
listen, my Lord, today. Okay, so
Yes.
in that, you kind of alluded to it just then when you talked about the sunrise and the sunset and things. But what are you doing, or what do you think are like some consistent practices that you have that help you to sustain your joy, or like kind of help you keep in the balance? Like, all right, I'm kind of falling a little off here. What do I need to do? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So I value my connection. So when I'm disconnected from God, from the Holy Spirit, is problems. Right? It's actually chaos. And so prayer is a very important one for me. Like, that's how I start my day for sure. I don't consistently end my day there. I hope that I'm mature enough at this point where all day long there's stuff going on, but I have to start my day there. It's a habit, right? But it's a habit that has purpose and intention. So the second thing is purpose and intention.
Yeah.
Right. So just making sure that when I'm doing something, that I understand why I'm doing it, and then I'm asking myself the question of, like, is this aligned with what God told me? Did God tell you to do that? You know, and that's every conversation. That's every response to somebody, and I always know immediately when he did. Because now I'm not perfect, so sometimes, you know, the response comes first.
And then it'd be like, oh.
And then I ask the question, did God tell you to say it? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
And then guess what follows that? An apology, right?
Because and we love that. At least that's what it is for you. Everybody ain't that yet.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say it, but it wasn't right. You know. But it's those little behavioral habit things that have to be formed in order for me to be okay. So on this journey is one is like the confirming of those things in prayer and ensuring that I'm doing the right things every day, or at least doing what I'm being told to do. And then making sure that when I'm out of step and I'm out of sync, that repentance is on hand, and that I recognize that that there's a divine purpose, and I must constantly be intentional about what I'm doing, because I'm human, and like anybody else, we could fall off the tracks in a given moment. So these little behaviors I'm talking about are very important behaviors, right? And they're not easy behaviors. These are not things that just happen, because what just happens is the opposite. What just happens is distraction.
Yeah.
You know, what just happens is going off the path and doing what I want to do. The work is, okay, I need to be disciplined, right? I need to stay on the path, because when I don't, it's what just happens, and you just fall off and start doing whatever. So this is work.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like it's work for eternity, and not just for right now.
I think that there's something else to what you just said related to understanding that it's work and that you're not done. You know what I mean? I think that somewhere along the line, especially when we like I live in a very like instant gratification society, right? Like, I need to, whatever I'm doing, I need to immediately see the result, or whatever I'm doing, I need to immediately see help. And I think even in my therapeutic practice, I find sometimes with clients, they're like, okay, well, I'm coming here to deal with this grief, and I want to be done with grief. Like, so can we, like, how many sessions? Like 4 or 5, and we should be good. And I'm like, no, bro, like, that's not even, we're not even gonna get to the root of nothing until like session 6.
It's gonna take a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think like there's something powerful about the idea that this is a consistent, like pruning and a consistent reassessing and a consistent rebuilding within yourself and consistent acknowledgement. Like I can't just, I love how you said like even throughout your day, I'm sorry, there's many different things happening throughout your day,
Mm-hmm.
but you're able to kind of like acknowledge God throughout, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the point that I start my day this way and I invite you into my day. So that consistent check-in helps me regulate what I need to. But it's like the even asking God in the middle of a, that's powerful before I address somebody about something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because even as a business owner, there's that component of being in charge of people and having to be good stewards of those people. And I think that's two
Absolutely.
different things, like being in charge of somebody and being a good steward of someone. And so when you have a person who they're in a leadership space, but then they also have someone who is their leader, it kind of switches the whole
Mm-hmm.
trajectory of the thing. You know what I mean? You had me
Mm-hmm.
read this book. You remember Jesus is My CEO?
Yes, that's right.
Changed my life. Changed my life.
Yay! I
But
like
one of the
that.
more powerful things in it was that it's like I'm not like just the title alone. Jesus is my
Jesus
CEO.
is
Like I'm the
yeah.
person that has to be the steward of these other people.
Yeah.
And in that is that it doesn't stop. It keeps going. It's like an eternity thing. It keeps going on and on and
On and
on.
on and on. And so we're and because we're not Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we live in a fallen state. We are fallen people. There's a reason why we need to be justified by God. There's a reason for that. And so, like I said, we are all capable of anything. So if we don't have a process for connecting ourselves and trying to maintain that connection, we're going to have a problem because we are problematic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Me included, right? Like we're problematic people.
Right.
And so no, I just think part of the issues that we have as people too is we don't want process. Even I think about my business, right? Part of the problem with decision intelligence is that people don't want process. No one wants to think about, I got to make decisions differently. They want to think, oh, I know what I'm doing, right? I have everything I need. I can go make. No, you actually need to weigh information. You need to categorize information. Not everything applies to you. And the other thing is that we can't actually predict the future.
Like, okay, let me tell you. This is so spot on. Okay, so as I shared with you, I went through this freedom group thing and things like that over. It was really powerful. It was awesome. But one of the things, the retreat was this weekend, and one of the things that they addressed was pride. What I didn't even acknowledge was pride at first. I didn't even realize that was a thing. But the idea that I don't need, like, I know something more than I actually, or the idea that I can't learn anymore that there is to learn about this particular space. I have that concept related to like my professional life and things like that. But I didn't have that concept all the way related to my spiritual life until I went through that process. I didn't have that concept related to how my relational life, like even in my relationships, until I went through that process. And so, to your point about process, you see what I'm saying? Like there is a system that exists related to, I gotta identify what's going on, and then there's a change. I have to make be committed to that consistent change in my behavior to see a different result. I gotta gather this data, and let that inform whatever I'm doing next. But we don't want to. Gathering data also means admitting my errors.
Come on.
And that's hard to do.
Very difficult. It makes me think, so everything grows.
Yeah.
Right? So a tree that we see outside it's not a big tree when it starts. It's a seed. So everything that God does and establishes has a process.
Yeah.
Right? Even when he came and sent Jesus to die for us, if you believe in Jesus, which I do, right? The process is we're born again.
Yeah.
And then we have to have a renewed and transformed mind.
Yeah.
So why do I say that? Because there should be no expectation on anything that we do that it's just going to start at its mature state.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Everything we do is going to start at a seed, and then that seed is going to grow, that seed is going to develop, and then at some point, should that seed get watered and nurtured in the right way, or be in the conditions that the seed needs to be in, that seed is going to sprout. The sprout is going to continue to develop. But of course, with the right conditions, with the right nurturing, the right nutrients, that seed is going to grow. So anything in life that we do is the same way. I try to explain that to my business leaders, but I also explain that to my kids.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you know what is okay? It's okay that even when that thing isn't watered the way that it's supposed to, as long as it don't die,
Yeah.
you can come back and start watering it and start from where you at.
Teasha. Teasha. Do you know how like powerful it is to understand that it's literally as long as it doesn't die? I think that we quit at the part where it looks like it's wilted, and we quit at the part it looks like it's not. This doesn't look like how I expected it to look, so I have to throw the whole thing away. But it's like as long as it doesn't die, and if we know, like I know, like it doesn't. There is no death. You see what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, and even when we think it's dead,
that's what I'm saying.
We ain't in control.
That's what I'm saying.
So we could think it's dead.
Right.
And the Lord would be like, let me sprinkle some of my water on it.
Yeah.
Some of that living water. And all of a sudden, it's bam, you back to life. And guess what? You got a whole nother chance. And what's interesting is you don't lose anything.
Yeah.
You don't lose anything, you only gain. So what you gain? You gain some experience. You gain some expertise. Oh, I know not to do that again, right? You gain some memory of something. You gain a new perspective on how God brought you through something.
Yeah.
You know, there's like all these things that get gained from having that experience, and now all of a sudden you alive.
Yeah. Alive and well. Showing up different, doing things differently, moving different, everything being new.
Come on. New.
What you say? What you say? That's
being
good.
silly.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But okay. I think that one of the things that are so powerful about that, and as you, both of us in an entrepreneurial space, right? And so as you can imagine, that word failure and things like that runs rampant all day, every day. But what I'm hearing you say is that via your experience, the failure doesn't exist.
It doesn't. Not at that. So it doesn't. Like, if you're called to do the business, so your main question is, did God ask you to do this?
Yeah, there you go.
If he asked you to do it, then
why are you
what
concerned?
would make you believe that you're going to fail? Right? Now, does it end up looking the way you mapped it out in your head? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because what you mapped out probably has nothing to do with what God intended for you. Right?
Yeah.
So there's been many things in my own business that where I started one way, I had people working in my company. I've had all kinds of stuff, and people I had to fire, people who couldn't be here with me. Why? Because God said, did I tell you to hire them? I didn't tell you to hire her. I didn't tell you to hire him. Right? And next thing you know, oh man, I'm sorry. It ain't gonna work out. But likely because something else happened that indicated, right, I went the hard way.
Yeah.
There's been a number of things that have happened over the course while I've had this business where I'm constantly reminded, I told you to do this, so we gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna need you to do it how I asked you to do it. And how I asked you to do it doesn't look the way you have mapped it out in your mind. Right? So we start doing stuff and we think, oh, God said I should do it. So I'm going after all this and I'm going to find these customers. If he didn't say those are the people, those are the people who are going to invest in your company. Those are the people who are going to be your customers. Those are the people you're going to talk to. Right? I mean, it's a plenty of times where I'm doing stuff in my business where I'm like, oh, this is not making money for my business right now. But he told me to do it.
You know what? The conviction that just came all over my little insides. Let me tell you how powerful that just was. I think that I don't know how many, if you're watching this and you're watching for a while and stuff like that, Purpose Joy started from like Instagram posts in 2019, right? And in addition to that, it was like content. We was just doing content, doing videos and everything else. And I kid you not, this just came out of my mouth last week. Well, the content, we do it and things like that, but it doesn't really get a significant amount of this or it doesn't do a significant amount of that. Maybe I can, and every time I try to take a step over there, but I told you to do this first. All these things are the fruit of the thing that he told me to do. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
It wouldn't even be no private practice, no da-da-da. This conversation wouldn't be happening had I not went and did the things he said to do in the first place. So how dare I try to redirect?
That's right.
I told you to do this. So anyway.
Yeah.
That's good now.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think that what can be a little concerning for people sometimes is like when I feel like I've fallen off the wagon, how do I get back? Do you have any thoughts around that? Like if I feel like I've gotten,
Well, this is where process is a little important, right? So where are you? Right? So in knowing where you are, so when you fall off, you can pick up and get somewhere else. Let me see if I can think of inexperience that I can relate to sort of falling off. Um, well, I became a parent at a pretty early
Mhm.
age. I was 21 when I had my oldest daughter, and 24 when I had my second daughter.
Mhm.
And I had not finished college
Mhm. Mhm.
when that happened. I started school. I hadn't finished college. Um, I was um, I was abandoned by my first daughter's father while pregnant. So I
Mhm.
went through that experience by myself. And the second one, he was there for a little bit, and then we got a divorce. So it was right about I was about 25 years old. I woke up one day. I had two kids,
Mhm.
and I was a single mom,
Mhm.
and I had to figure out what was actually going to happen next.
Yeah.
So the process, though, was, I had to make a living for myself. I had to be able to, pull my bootstraps up and get my life together. And so I was like, all right, well, I got to go back to school. That was number one.
Mhm.
I have to create stability in work. That was number two. Like, there was just some things that had to come into order
Yes.
in order for me to be able to proceed in what was my life
Yeah.
from that point up until I married my husband about 10 years ago now.
Mhm. Mhm.
So there was a long period of time where it was me and my girls and we had to work through it. But because I had focus, right, and process,
Yeah.
I could, whenever there was like a moment, like maybe I didn't have something or maybe I was making a big decision, I could always pop back into what I had planned
Yes.
for at least to put order around my life, right? Like every 5 years, it was going to be something that I would accomplish. My work, for example. So I built a career under those circumstances,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? One that took me from being a manager to being a vice president in multiple companies across this chasm. Like these are all things that took a substantial amount of discipline, focus, plan,
Yeah.
and focus. So I think falling off is okay because I
Yeah.
fell off many times along that journey, but you got to keep track of the road.
Yes. Come on,
You
track of
can't
the road.
fall off and be off in the gutter
Yeah.
somewhere and don't know where the road is at,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's just there's a little discipline in what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And I say these things about discipline all the time, and discipline is very difficult.
Mhm.
It's very difficult stuff.
That's a little thing
But
in my chest again. A little
yeah,
conviction coming
but
again.
it's very important.
Yeah.
And everything of God requires discipline. Jesus was disciplined. That's what he came. He came to show us
Yeah.
how to be disciplined.
Yeah.
He was in a human body.
Mhm.
He was experiencing human things
Mhm.
when he was here. But he was like, nah, I don't want that. Devil came, was like, hey, you want the country? You want to look at the whole? He was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there were a lot of no's. There were a lot of like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's so powerful too, even the idea of like you have to put some stuff in order first
You do.
and things like that. And I think like even if I had to out of what you were saying, if I had to first of all that where you are, but then like here's order. Like how can I get what's the closest thing I can get to order? I don't know about you, but when I like if my car is in disarray or my room's in disarray or something like that, or my space is in disarray, something happens when I put it in order. Even if I don't know where everything is supposed to go off rip or something like that, like, okay, well, I'm just gonna put all of these right here and all of these go right here. Even when you think about things after you wash your clothes and think out of the dryer, you can't just like put them anywhere. You got to put them in order after that. There's something about that space that brings peace, And I think that's why we oftentimes forget that God is indeed a God of order and discipline. You
All
know what I
things
mean?
in order. He says
Yeah.
that, right? In his
Yeah.
word. I can't tell you the exact verse, but I know it's in there. I've seen it myself a few times. Okay, so on my journey, by the way, there is this thing. So in my studying, because I also believe the word is
Yeah.
part of your journey. So
Yes.
I'm now at the point where I can hear something and I go, I can kind of pinpoint what area it might be and where I'm not. Is I can tell you exactly the scripture verse. I'm not there yet,
That's
but
all right.
we're back to back, cover to cover a few times where I can start to identify where the stories are. But that's what I pray for, right? Because I believe when I have that, that'll be another level of like understanding that'll be unlocked because we know that his mysteries are there, right? And so I'm constantly seeking them, but I know it, but because I've asked so many times, I was like, I'm just gonna memorize it. I'm gonna say I thought I could go memorize. I was like, I got these verses, I'm memorizing them because I just want to be able to tell people the verses and tell them exactly what I'm thinking. And the Lord was like, no, ma'am.
Absolutely not.
No, ma'am. For I could say nothing in the world. I can memorize anything. I have a great memory, but for some reason cannot memorize Bible verses like that. But I can understand the stories and what it is. So that's another one of those little unlock things for me. I was talking about something else and got kind of off track on that, but you know, you get it.
I think the part that's powerful about that, though, even when we talk about like scriptures and whatnot, there's something else when you understand. Okay, awareness, memorization, things like that, and application are two different things. So I think that's where like that's
There it
resonating
is.
for you. And then on
Yes.
top of that, after we get that application part together, the next part of that is how can I educate the next person unless I can fully apply. Like I can recite these scriptures all day, but context, how I can encourage you with it, how I can make sure that you understand it yourself is going to come from another level of application, revelation, and everything else that you're talking about. So I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
It was also kind of like in this group as well where I was over, it was almost like information overload. I was doing like 3 different devotionals at a time, trying to do a little Terry Lee Cobble, read the Bible in 365 days. I was like, I'm on it. But I wasn't retaining
That's right.
and resonating with anything that I was reading. I was reading it to read and not reading it to apply. And so like now, so that you said that right there kind of was like that affirmation of the space. Like that's not, he doesn't want that. He wants your application. He wants to understand that you know enough to apply and then teach. That's the point.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sit in your heart.
Yeah. All day, every day.
That's
this
right.
is so good. This is so good. So good. So, lastly, as we're wrapping and things like that, this was awesome. First of all, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For having me. I'm sure it's gonna bless a lot of people. So thank you, thank you, thank you. When you think about like your own journey and even like pieces of our conversation today, or just in general, what would you kind of tell someone else about their own journey to joy, or what would you say to encourage them around it?
Yeah, I think the first thing is purpose. I know people get tired of me, but so I would say that when we unlock what we're here to do, it sort of unlocks a lot of things. And what we're here to do is something for God's glory, whatever that is for you. For me, I'm here to build things, right? And that's what I'm here to do. It's the 0 to 1 stuff. But when you understand that and you know that that's it, then you start to move a little different, a little better. The other one is, and I didn't really understand this coming out of my own trauma in life and stuff, is that grace is an amazing tool.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to give it to yourself. Right? Because sometimes we'll be out here extending grace to everybody else, and we don't even think that we have to give grace to ourselves.
Yes.
Right? Why? Because God is already, he's already won.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever it is that we're going through in these moments that we're going through them will not have material impact in eternity.
Right. Right.
So give yourself some grace to get through that moment. Like every mistake is not the end of the world. Right? Every setback isn't like you're a bad person or things are terrible. Every moment of pain is not one that's gonna leave a stain.
Yes.
It doesn't have to.
Right.
Right. But when you can give yourself some grace, you can be like, you know what? I'm in a moment right now. I'm in something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go head on and go through this, and when I come on through, we're gonna be moving on to the other side, and everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. I made a mistake. Good thing is I can go to Lord, be Lord, I made that mistake. I'm so sorry. I know you saw it.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But you keep on going. You don't have to live in condemnation and things like that. But those are really hard. I keep saying things are hard, but those are hard things to understand because as human beings, we live in a place where you're constantly being judged. Yeah. You're constantly being held accountable. That's the new millennial word, excuse me.
Right.
Right? Accountability, right? Accountability is great, but accountability shouldn't be condemnation.
Or shame and guilt and everything else. Yes.
Guilt.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't tend as people to live beyond those things. And so then you're constantly people pleasing or you're constantly trying to keep up or whatever it is. And so I just say grace. So purpose and grace. Those are my two things.
I love it.
Yay.
This is amazing. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you too. Thank you.
And let the people know where they can find you, how they can interact with you. What does that look like?
So one can find me on LinkedIn. Well, to learn more about what I do from a work lens. I guess I don't really use social media other than that.
Okay, safety first. Very good. Love that.
So I'm not a social media person outside of work. So you'll have to find me at CModel. Yeah,
That's perfect. That's perfect.
it.
Well, thank you so much, Teasha.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yay.
All right. Awesome. Yay.